Coming live from the 706 is the greatest podcast in the world.
It's about that time.
We're just better than you, featuring Billy Harold and Tom Dimitrov.
What you know about going out, head west, red legs, TVs, all up in the headrest. Try and live it up, rock jewel, bigger truck, piece all glittered up, stick a kid, nigga what? Jig with a cut, sip crisp, spit it up, hoes rock, get your nut, till I can't get
Welcome to our podcast. We're just better than you. I guess as you heard in the intro, coming live from the 706. What we've put together here is a podcast about the DraftKings one-day fantasy football. Maybe if we get into it, we might go into basketball a little bit. If you know, but for now, we're just going to do fantasy football. And what we're going to do is just kind of run through the top games that we feel like that are good matchups for people to go after, players in those games, high-scoring games. And then kind of games to stay away from. But for the most part, what we're going to do is kind of run through players, look at their value, kind of see if they're the ones to play this week or the ones to skip on. But for the most part, I'm Tom Dimitrov. This is my partner in crime, Billy Harold. Like to say anything?
I'm really excited about this podcast. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and we're ready to get it live out there to y'all and try to help y'all win a little bit of money. I think it's important before we get in and talk all about DraftKings and whatnot that we just take a second and kind of those who play and those who don't play, just kind of let them know what DraftKings is like, what it's about, how you go about the process of doing this. DraftKings is great. They have a website as well as an app on your phone. I think the app's great. It's very, very usable. What you do is you basically pick a team, nine players. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, flex, and a defense. And you have a $50 cap, and you build your team around that. And guys based off of performance mainly. So you got to look for value where it's there. And there's 2 types of kind of ways you can play. You have cash games, which are your head-to-heads, your small leagues, your 50-50s. I know you've been starting to do those a good bit lately.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to build your bankroll because what you need to do is you need to build your bankroll up and then drop those big dollars on we'll talk about in a minute. It's the Millionaire Maker. The price went up on that. We'll talk about that. And then they have a lot of these tournaments where GPPs, guaranteed prize pools, anywhere ranging from 25 cents, which is the quarter arcade, which I love. You just pound the quarter arcade with about 20 lineups. You gotta really win it to win anything significant, but it's fun just to get some practice in. I like to play the play action. It's $2 and the first down, which is $1. And then we actually play leagues with our friends against each other. But there's really a whole process that kind of differs, in my opinion, when setting a tournament lineup versus a cash lineup. And we'll kind of talk, when we talk about guys, we'll kind of be like, well, this is, a safe play. That's, if we say safe means cash. This is a guy with a lot of upside. We usually mean that as a tournament play.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. This week, we got a bunch of teams on buys. We got the Redskins, Patriots, Texans, and I'm missing one more. There's some big names out there missing. And is it the Chargers?
Yeah,
Chargers are on bye. So that leaves us with some good matchups. We've kind of we're 10 weeks into the season. We kind of know what teams are all about, who they are, what they're going to do, what their record is, and if they're in the playoffs, out of the playoffs. So what we're just going to start off with is our top 5 games kind of this week. I'm going to throw out I'll throw out 5 games, and if Billy feels like there's another game to look at, he's going to chime in and give me his thoughts on it. But for the most part, I kind of just wrote down 5 games that I felt like would be high scoring. There's going to be some points in the game, and kind of that's the teams that you want to kind of attack with your lineup.
Yeah, when you're setting a lineup, you're looking at 2 main things. You're looking at matchup based off of positional matchups and over-unders.
Yeah.
You're looking for games where it's a 50 over-under compared to like a 35 over-under.
Yeah. So the first game I think that's going to be pretty high scoring. Well, no particular order. It's just kind of the games I think. Atlanta versus Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think that's a great match. I think there's a lot of fantasy goodness there.
Last time the Falcons scored 56, I think it was, or 52 on Tampa Bay. They are at home this time, so I think Tampa Bay will have a little bit more offense this time. And I think the Falcons coming off bye will be kind of ready to go on offense. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one.
Yeah, remember last time they played, actually, a couple of the Falcons guys didn't even have great lines because the defense did so much. It was the Falcons defense. Now, Julio had a huge game that game, but Matt Ryan didn't even put up a great stat line. They put up 56 points, and he didn't even reach 30 fantasy points. But I think this is a week where, he's been down. His price is depressed because of it. I think it's a great week to hop on him before his price goes back up.
Yeah, I think, 6,300 we said for Matt Ryan. That's a fantasy value. Just one thing that, we'll get into in a second, but yeah, it's 6,300. I think he's a must play. I mean, that's that below that 7,000 threshold that can save you some money and put it towards other areas. I think you're getting a steal there. The one thing I do like is that both defenses, just talking about matchups, are top 4 worst defenses in the NFL. I mean, Atlanta's given up the most rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, whereas Tampa Bay has given up the most passing touchdowns this season. And the Falcons love to throw the ball, and that's really all they've really been able to do. So I think there's a lot of upside in this game. Matt Ryan, like we said, I think Julio Jones is somebody to look at.
I think if you're playing Julio or you're playing Ryan, I think you play the other one.
I think you're going to try to combo, especially their price. I mean, Julio is at 6,600. So right there, you're at that 12,000. And when you think about pairing up people together, you want to stay around $12,000, because that'll kind of keep you in that price range to build a decent team.
Right.
So when you pair up 2 people, like when you're picking 2 running backs, you want to stay around that $12,000. That's getting good value for your money.
And let's talk about this real quick. I'm of this. I think this is kind of a route you go. I don't always use it, but I use it about 95% of the time. I don't know how you feel about it, but handcuffing is kind of the term. If you pick a quarterback, you're picking one of his wide receivers with him. So, if he scores, it's a good chance that guy. Now, it's tough on a team like if you go with Carson Palmer, it's tough to handcuff him because they spread it around so much. But if you're going with Matt Ryan at only 6,300, I don't see any way you don't pick Julio at 6,600. No. Julio is an $8,000 player at 6,600 this week.
Yeah, and the one thing that a lot of people talk about just on DraftKings and articles about it is like your dollar per point value, and you want to stay around. If you can stay around $300, that's a really good price. But for the most part, most good value is $350 to like $375. Once you start getting over $400, you're kind of losing that value for your points, and that puts Julio at the $346 mark. That's $346 per dollar per point. So I mean, that's a great value there. I mean, and like you said, like we talked about, Matt Ryan, you got to pair him up with Julio if you're going to run that lineup. So is there anybody else in that game? I mean,
okay, let's talk running back for Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I think Rainey is a great play this week. And what are your thoughts on Charles Sims this week?
The Falcons' defense is so bad, and that Charles Sims is at 3,800. It's tough for me not to take a chance on him.
Yeah, he's a great flex in a tournament lineup.
The flex lineup, that's what I'm talking about. And his upside is pretty high. From what they talk about, it sounds like that Tampa Bay really wants to give him a chance, Just doing some lineups that I saw, I throw Charles Sims in there, and then I've been able to pair up like LaShawn McCoy with like a Andre Ellington. Yeah. And I mean, that's, I think there's good upside value there. It's going to be a home run. I think I think there's a chance that he might only get like 10 catches or 10 touches.
He's going to catch some balls though, and DraftKings being a 1-point PPR league, he's much more useful on a website like this.
And that also makes Rainey. The one thing that was kind of disappointing last week with Rainey was they gave him. I think he had 14 or 15 touches He had 15 touches in the first half. Second half, 4 touches all day. So that just killed him. And he still had a productive day. I think he had 90 yards rushing and another 40 receiving, and then they just stopped giving him the ball. So
he's only 4,400. I don't be afraid to play him either. I still think he's going to be the lead back, but I mean, I'm with you. Doug Martin didn't practice skin today. No. They're done with him. They were trying to trade him. They're done with that. That regime did not draft him. They don't want anything to do with him.
Doug Deadbeat Martin.
Yes. And they're really high on this Chucky Sims, and I think that like I said, I'm not putting him in cash lineups, but if I'm in a tournament and I get down to that $4,000 range for my flex spot, why not, man? I mean, he has. Here's the thing with him. He's probably got a pretty low floor. I mean, it's possible He touches the ball 5 times,
Yeah.
okay? And he could score 4 or 5 points. But his upside is tremendous. I mean, if they get in a situation where they get down or something and they want to start throwing the ball, he's going to be the guy in there. He's going to be the passing back. That guy could get 5 or 6 catches and run for like 6. I mean, he has an upside of almost 20 points in my opinion.
I mean, and that's the magic number. You want to get in those games. You want to get to a 20-point total for each person. So, he might not get the big yards rushing, maybe 50 yards rushing if he gets those opportunities, but he can make up a lot of those points in the receiving game. And touchdowns are flukes. You can't really count on saying this guy's going to get in the end zone. But, for the most part, you're looking at that upside. I'm always looking at backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield and get those extra points pretty quick. So
yeah, that's why I don't use guys like Alfred Morris ever.
Yeah.
So all right, what any other guys in this game that interest you?
Maybe Mike Evans.
Yeah, I was thinking about him.
It's shown that they're looking to go Mike Evans' way. He's 5,900.
Yeah, he's the number 1 now, unfortunately.
And I don't know. We'll see. Josh McCown didn't really look Vincent Jackson's way when he was here.
Yeah.
They really want to get Mike Evans going. I think they see more upside with him.
Yeah.
I think he's the only other play on this game but still at 5,900, we're looking at a $400 value per point. So, I mean.
Yeah. I want to come back to McCown a little bit. I have a question I want to ask him a little bit, and it will involve McCown.
Okay. Next game, San Francisco and New Orleans. I think there's a lot of upside in here. Another person on my deadbeat list is Colin Kaepernick.
Oh,
what a fluke, man. But I don't even want to talk about it. He cost me so much money last week.
Yeah, he cost me a lot of money, too. He's dead to me.
Yeah, he's dead. So, going back, New Orleans, San Francisco. San Francisco hasn't been as good. New Orleans is awesome at home.
Yeah.
Passing touchdowns, let's see. San Francisco has given up 14. So they're at right over one touchdown a game. So if you're kind of looking at it from that standpoint, Drew Brees is probably good for 2 touchdowns this game. He loves to throw it. The passing yards, they're giving up close to 3. Oh, they're only around 200. I'm sorry. 200 yards passing. So you're not getting many points off the yards, but what do you think?
At Breeze's price, he's the 3rd most expensive. I'm probably going to look elsewhere. I mean, I'll probably go down a little bit. There's a couple quarterbacks I like that are as much as him that are a little bit less. I don't know. I mean, Drew Brees, he could easily go for 3 touchdowns, but there's enough risk there at 8,200 to scare me off a little bit off of him.
Yeah, and the only thing that's going in his favor that I do like is he's at home. He's
better at home.
3 times better the quarterback the quarterback he is at home than he is on the road. So there's upside there. He did have his last game against Green Bay. He did have a nice game. He did go on the road and struggled a little bit, but got it together in that second half against Carolina.
Yeah.
And then, so I feel pretty good about that. Another guy to talk about on the New Orleans side is Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
at tight end. He's the number 1 tight end listed this week at $6,300.
He's still one tight end that I play no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, 6,300, you're still getting
cheap.
good value. Yeah. Now, I do like another tight end that we'll talk about a little bit later, a little bit more, and I kind of homer to him, but I mean, Jimmy Graham, there's still value. You're going to get your points, and if he has a Jimmy Graham game, you're going to get those 30 points out of him. So the upside with Jimmy Graham is always there. Another person I want to talk about on the wide receivers, great value, I feel, is Cooks at $4,300. Brandon Cooks, $4,300. How do you feel about that?
I like Cooks. I usually, every week, if he's playing, I try to throw him in one lineup at least in a GPP just because of the upside he presents, but he's so risky. He's your typical rookie. He can have a 4-point game and he have a 25-point game.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's kind of like the Charles Sims situation. If you're around the $4,000 or you're trying to fit in some of those studs we're going to talk about. And there's a lot of studs out there that are priced high this week that you might want to get in. He's a good cap saver.
Yeah. I feel like he's somebody that you can kind of buy low at 4,300, and then you can kind of get 2 good wide receivers with their price value, getting that value at that 4,300. San Francisco side, is there anybody you want to
One other guy on this side there. We got to talk about this guy. He has been killing it lately. Mark Ingram, 5,900. What do you think?
I'm staying away.
I am too. At 5,900, Ronnie Hillman's 6,100. LaShawn McCoy's 5,600. I probably would go up
He
to
got a little
wherever.
banged up last game.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he is the only back. Pierre Thomas is coming back this
Well,
week.
I heard, the coach has already said that they're going back to a timeshare.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just coach speak. I don't ever know what to believe.
I really think they know that Mark Ingram can't handle a big load. He's going to eventually get hurt, and I think they know they have to reduce his touches a little bit to give him the chance to stay healthy all the time. So I did like it when he was the only back and they were going to use him. But now it sounds like they're trying to get Cadet a couple touches. They try to get Pierre Thomas a couple touches. I think it's going to take away from his value this week. And at 5,900, I think there's a few other guys around him that have better upside than Mark Ingram this week.
I agree.
San Francisco side, is there much that you want to?
Well, we already talked about. I mean, almost every guy on this team is dead to me.
Yeah.
Kaepernick sucks.
Yeah.
Vernon Davis sucks.
He just
Crabtree,
can't stay healthy.
God, he sucks.
The only person that probably has a little upside is Anquan Bolden.
Yeah. Frank Gore, you're dead to me as well.
Yeah.
Everyone. Honestly, I don't want anything to do with this team.
No. And if you're really taking a shot, but even Anquan Bolden is at 5,600, there's still a lot better value because you just don't know what Kaepernick.
Look who else is 5,600. Yeah.
Brandon Marshall, Steve Smith Sr., Martavius Bryant, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, there's still a lot more value around him. And, Anquan Bolden could have that 30-point game, but he could also, knowing Colin Kaepernick, spread it to somebody else, could have a 5-point game. So I just don't feel like the upside there with Anquan's.
All right, with all those guys just really sucking, what are your thoughts? I don't like to talk about defense as much, but what about a really cheap defense to help you finish some studs? New Orleans defense this week. They're better at home. They're a lot better at home. I don't want to talk more than about 30 seconds about a defense because, to me, when you're setting your lineup, the last thing you put in is your defense. Like, you have money left, you just fit them in.
Well, usually the first thing I put in, I look at a defense that has some defense. I just go ahead and click them and just so I know where that money is. I don't really care. I'm trying to stay below that 3,000 with defenses, and I look for one that has a decent matchup. Hopefully, I get some points out of them. But your question was
cheap defense. Do you?
Nah. I think still around the Saints, around that price range. The Saints are 2,800. For $100 more, you can get the Lions this week. So you know what I'm saying? I think there's no difference, and you're not saving. And I think you get what you get out of the Lions. So, and they're at home and they're coming off the bye, which is my defense play of the week. I think is the Lions bye week.
Okay.
Coming off Miami, Miller's a little beat up, can't run the ball. Lions stuff the run. Well, they can run the ball. The Dolphins can, but the Lions stuff the run. I think they're going to put it on Tannehill's shoulder to throw it, and I think the Lions will get a couple interceptions, couple sacks. So I think there's some extra points. Play of the week, the Lions.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to talk about defense anymore, but I thought they might be a sneaky one.
Yeah.
How about your sneaky play of the week? Saints.
All right, and then moving on, Dallas and Jacksonville. I think there's going to be some points in this game.
I apologize for the noise. Our janitor is actually finally working today, so he has got to get in his one day of work a week. So Jacksonville and Dallas. Yeah. Oh yeah. I like this game.
So there's a lot of upside. Let's talk Dallas side first. Guys to look for. Tony Romo's healthy. Are you looking his way at all?
All right. This is an interesting one. He's got the 2 cracked rib or bones in his back, right? And that the injury. He's not near 100%. He is the 6th most expensive quarterback at 7,500. Carson Palmer's only 200 more. Roethlisberger's the same price. Stafford's cheaper.
Yeah.
He's going on the road against the Jacksonville defense that has been better than most people perceive him to be. And there's the possibility of them getting re-injured on the first sack of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not taking that risk at 7,500.
No.
I don't want anything to do with him. I think this is a give the ball to DeMarco Murray, run the ball 25 times, and we're good.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't think you touch Tony Romo as a play this week. But the only thing is that does help. If Tony Romo plays, I think it helps Des Bryant.
It absolutely helps.
And it
Des
helps
Bryant,
his value. And you saw your brother last week just couldn't get it together.
I was high on Whedon last week. Good thing I didn't put him in a ton of lineups, but I put him in about 3 lineups.
And it was your brother, and you got to defend him a little bit.
I remember I told y'all I was messing with y'all, but I sent y'all a text and said, I'm playing Whedon against y'all. I ain't scared of y'all motherfuckers. Yeah, he crapped the bed. And Romo helps Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Des Bryant, they have such good chemistry. If Romo can't go, or there's like a possibility, that he might not, I'm not putting Des in my lineup.
Yeah,
There's better options around there.
Jacksonville's given up.
Yeah, Jacksonville's defense sucks. Let's be honest.
And
They're
they're
bad.
giving up 120 yards rushing. So, you got to think somewhere around there, DeMarco Murray's probably going to, with the year he's having, that's 12 points off the bat for DeMarco Murray without a touchdown. Passing-wise, they're giving up 260 a game. I just don't know how much they're going to let Tony Romo go. I know they know they need Tony Romo to play because Brandon Whedon's not going to cut it, and they need to win this game. They can't afford to lose this game.
Yeah.
So
it's a DeMarco Murray game, and he's not the most expensive running back, which is nice. And a matter of fact, he's $1,400 less than the most expensive running back. So I think he becomes. I don't know if he's a must play. I don't think anybody at 8,600 is ever a must play, but he's about as close as you get to it.
But like the Jacksonville, they've given up 7 rushing TDs, so they're almost giving up a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Game. So you're kind of the way I look at it is that's 1 touchdown for 6 points. And then the rushing
He's
yards,
going to catch 5
12.
or 6 passes, too.
So that's 20 off the bat. So you're looking at just a normal game. He probably already has 20 points off the bat, and that's not even counting in the receiving.
He's putting up 30 this week, I think.
And so I think DeMarco Murray, most lineups I've made, I've had him in there.
Yeah.
I think he's a must-play just because of Tony Romo's situation. Jacksonville side, you feel like there's
one guy.
Denard?
No.
Allen Robinson? Allen Robinson. You don't think there's any value in Denard Robinson this week? 2 straight games over 100 yards rushing.
He's actually shocked some people.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's his price? I'm looking for it here.
Denard Robinson is 50.
I can't find him on here.
He is.
Make it in.
He is. Sorry about this. Denard Robinson is. Is he under?
He must have been a wide receivers.
No way.
I can't find him on here.
I don't know what his value is. I think it's like 56 to tell you the truth.
There he is. 51.
5,100. Anything there?
At 51. I don't know. I mean, Dallas's defense isn't great by any means, right? I mean, they've got a pretty bad defense. 51.
They've been all right, but I think they've been better against the run. They're giving up 100 yards a game.
I'd probably. At 51, I'd like him if he was a little bit better if he was less than 5,000.
Yeah.
But I think at 51, I could. If I put in a DeMarco Murray, and I don't want to go super risky with like a Charles Sims or something like that, then I could maybe. I feel like I'm a little bit safe with Denard Robinson. Don't you feel like a little bit safe? Like he probably isn't going to get 100 yards. Maybe he's like a 50-50 shot.
But he's the only one that's doing any production in that backfield, so I think he's going to get the touches. He's going to get probably 20 touches.
He'll catch some balls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balls in his mouth.
Could he put 15 up? He could put 15 up.
I think he could put 15 up. So maybe there's a little. All right, next game, Denver and Oakland.
The only concern in this game is that they get up so big so quick. And
that's why I like Andre Holmes on Oakland's side. His value, all right, we're just talking garbage time. Andre Holmes, 4,400.
Garbage time hero.
I think that's what I think is going to happen is Denver's going to get up big, and then Oakland's just going to be chunking the ball the second half.
I like Mikel Rivera a lot.
Mikel Rivera, the tight end.
Yeah.
He had a nice little game.
His 2 games in a row, he had 8 catches and 10 catches.
And then he had 2 touchdowns last week, too.
He had 1 last week.
But
he's put up huge points. Full PPR, he's killing it. I think his price has actually skyrocketed because of it. But
on the Oakland side, him or Andre Holmes, maybe James Jones, his value's not too bad. He's in the 4s, too.
I don't want anything to do with that backfield. Here's my question.
And this is just 3,800 for James Jones.
Yeah.
It might be something you look at, maybe because I'm just talking garbage time.
Yeah.
So
We're expecting this game to be done by the third quarter, which, there's always this debate. Well, does the blowout factor worry you about taking a guy like Peyton or a guy like Demarius or a guy like Hillman? Not so much, because if it's in a blowout, guess what? They've got their points.
Yeah.
So Manning, he's hard to resist. But
what also we've seen is, though, even when they're blowing out, they're still moving the ball.
They are. Yeah.
They usually don't take him out until like close to the end of the fourth quarter in
If they
blowouts.
take him out
They still let him go out there and do his thing. So
Manning, I love this week. Ronnie Hillman, I love this week. Demarius Thomas, I love this week. Emmanuel Sanders, Julius Thomas. Oh my word!
Julius Thomas. I think he's the player of the week at tight end. $4,900.
Golly.
And there's not much. He did get bailed out with the touchdown catch. It looked like they were trying to take him away last week against the Patriots, but I just don't think there's
Price is
anybody.
under 300 per point. That's amazing.
And I don't think there's anybody that's going to guard him that can guard him on Oakland. They want to get him going again. I mean, $4,900 is hard not to.
I think every lineup that I build, I'm building it around Julius Thomas. He's my tight end.
Yeah, I take him. Yeah,
there's no point in taking any of the guys above him except for Jimmy Graham. All right, but still at $1,400 cheaper than Jimmy Graham with the same type of upside in a better matchup.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you just gravitate towards? I can't see myself putting together a lineup and just it's 4,900. I mean,
it's that magic number under.
He's under
you think
5,
about it. Nine people at $50,000. That's what five. Pretty much each player you're buying.
Yeah, I remember it's like 5. Yeah, 5.
It's right around there. So I mean, you're getting the value. You're staying under that what you can stay at to get average players that are putting up numbers. I mean,
and we'll talk lineups here in a little bit, but can you imagine the lineup if you have him and Sims and Andre Holmes?
I'll let you know. I'll show you my lineup that I feel. But anyways, all right. So that game, and then the last game that I feel that's going to have a bunch of points is Chicago and Green Bay.
That's probably your gold mine this week, if you want me to be honest.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers at 94. I still like it. I mean, there you go, pairing Aaron Rodgers up with a Charles Sims to save some money.
Yeah. What wide receiver? Because it's almost impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, but you're going to have to find a lot of value. It's almost impossible to pair him with both Jordy and Cobb. Which one do you go? I usually go Jordy.
I'm going Jordy Nelson.
I usually go Jordy.
He's going to get his looks. They're going to throw that back shoulder 10 times.
They're only $200 apart.
Yeah, I'm going Jordy Nelson. He's the more guaranteed. I mean,
now I'm going to tell you this: it's not impossible to get. I've set up lineups in the past where I've had both of them. I like it that they're both under 8,000. That helps.
Yeah.
Well, they're both probably closer to 8,000.
So we both agree. Wide receivers: Jordy Nelson is a play. Randall Cobb, good value there. They're all around that $360 value.
Yeah, I mean, if you set a lineup and you're not playing Rodgers and you're setting a lineup and you come down and you're to your last wide receiver spot, sometimes you just take the cheaper one because they have the same amount of upside. So, a lot of times we talk savings, this guy versus this guy. I don't know if 200 is much, but it could maybe get you a defense that's $200 more. That's a lot better, or something like that.
How do you feel about Devontae Adams?
I love him too. At 3,800.
I mean, if you're desperate, if you're down to that, if you go a different route with wide receivers, maybe you go like a Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, and you need to save that money.
Yeah.
Maybe down there you got Devontae Adams at 3,800 that can put you in there. But I think there's a few other guys around there that we'll talk about that price range that could save you some money and with big upside. Chicago side.
What about Eddie Lacy? I kind of love Eddie Lacy this week.
Eddie Lacy, what is he at? He's at 6,900.
Really bad run defense is going against.
Yeah.
Pretty pricey though for the production we've seen.
The one thing I don't like is that the Bears are coming off a bye.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the same. I don't know. I feel usually coming off a bye, they're a little better about stopping the run. Teams are, and then they have Aaron Rodgers. I don't feel like they're going to stop him. So I feel like Green Bay will give up on the running game quicker than.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If
they're not afraid to throw the ball 40 times.
If they go first quarter and it's not really getting anything run, they'll go straight throwing. And that's the one thing that kind of, at $6,900, scares me about Eddie Lacy. Even though he's had a couple good games, He had a really nice game against New Orleans a couple weeks ago. It's still just, because, like, you look at this. Chicago's given up 378 yards. Well, that's total. But passing, they're giving up 260.
Yeah.
But rushing, they're only giving up 110. They're the 10th best rush defense in the league. So, I mean, I still feel like, that Chicago has a better chance of stopping the run than stopping the pass. So,
Okay.
But what about Chicago's side? Do you like Cutler?
I can get Breeze for 400 more.
Yeah.
I get Palmer for 100 less. Roethlisberger for 300
I think there's a lot better value around him.
Just can't trust Cutler, man.
The problem that scares me and stuff like this is that interceptions are -3. He's going to throw an interception or two, and that's
He could throw three.
two interceptions offset that one touchdown
touchdown,
he throws. So it's just so hard to really take that chance.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that scares me about him. So no on Cutler.
Yeah, I'm probably passing on Cutler. I might throw him into one GPP lineup.
Matt Forte.
God, he's so hard to fit in at 10,000 though. I
He
mean,
is.
he's 1,400 more than
You're
Nurse.
talking about the worst. They're Green Bay's one of the worst.
Yeah, they're one
rush-
of the.
Let's
And he's going to catch balls, and he's going to. I mean, I think he's a lock for. Honestly, I think he's locked for 150.
Green Bay is the worst rush defense in the league.
I mean, he's a lock for 150 total yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's a lock for that. But is that even going to pay off his price tag at 10,000? When DeMarco Murray has the same upside and he saves you $1,400.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
I'm probably going Murray.
I mean, you think about, all right, or if you take Forte, you're pairing him up with Charles Sims probably.
Yeah.
In that $3,800 range. All right, so you're at 13.8. DeMarco Murray, and so now we're looking for somebody in the $5,000 range. What do we got?
Robinson, we've already talked about.
What about
Bobby Rainey's only 4,400.
What about LaShawn McCoy and DeMarco Murray?
Wouldn't you rather have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, because DeMarco Murray's probably going to put up close to the same amount of points.
Yeah.
And then LaShawn McCoy,
he's just so much safer than Charles Sims.
I think he's guaranteed 15 points this week with Matt Sanchez. Even though they feel really confident in him, I think they're going to try to get LaShawn McCoy going a little bit to give Mark Sanchez that comfort in there.
We'll talk about the Sanchez soon. Don't worry about that.
So, is there any other games that you feel?
The only other game I kind of like is, the one that we just mentioned.
The Carolina
Philadelphia Monday night game. I've been talking to you for 3 days now. I'm in love with the Dirty Sanchez,
Well,
as I call him.
The talks are is that they felt like Sanchez outplayed Foles all preseason, all practices, but they just felt like with what Foles did last year, they had to put him in there. So.
Well, I read last night that the owner was already souring on Foles, and they probably aren't going to renew his contract.
Yeah.
And they feel like Sanchez is a better quarterback. Okay. And so it's about the system here, and he's already a better quarterback. Think about what Foles is probably not going to be a starting quarterback on another team. I mean, there might be a team out there, but I mean, I've read that
You don't think
he looks great in that offense, but he hasn't even been great this year.
No.
They feel like Sanchez is a better quarterback, a better athlete. He can run this offense very well.
He took the Jets to AFC championships.
I mean,
how bad he was.
I know he's remembered for his affairs and his butt fumble and his just awful looking
But in his
demeanor
defense,
with his.
you just see how awful the Jets are with quarterbacks.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
that
in his
coaching
defense,
regime up there, and they just need to clean house.
Their
there.
defense, they're defensive minded, and there was nothing in place to help Sanchez develop. And maybe through Chip Kelly, he's done that, and he looked pretty good in that second half. So,
All right, so here, let me ask you this. All right, there are several guys under 6,000, okay, that I would consider playing, okay, just because of this cap saving thing. I think they all have a little bit of upside.
Anybody on Carolina first?
Oh, that's why I went on. I don't want to have anything to do with that garbage.
Kelvin Benjamin, 4,400.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think he's the only play on that team. Kelvin Benjamin at 4,400. 4,200. I'm sorry. I think there's great value there.
Yeah. I think, he's
He's under
the
the $300 per point. So, But anyways, back to your go ahead.
Okay, but to real quick on your Kelvin Benjamin, yeah, at 4,200, Philadelphia's defense has looked good, but their pass defense still sucks. They have bad cornerbacks.
Yeah.
He's going to be getting all the targets, which also I think makes Greg Olsen a good play this week.
Yeah, and you saw last week DeAndre Hopkins went off against Philadelphia, and I think Kelvin Benjamin's going to get the looks.
Yeah.
You've seen Cam Newton wants to throw him the ball. I think the targets are going to be there where he can have a huge upside week. So
okay, so here you go. I'll throw out some names for you. All right, Vic. All right,
pass
5,900. Oh, hold up, just
all right.
Let me throw these guys out to you, and then you kind of rank them where you feel like they might be. All right, so Vic at 5,900, Alex Smith at 5,800, Mettenberger at 5,800. Derek Carr at 5,500, Sanchez at 5,400, and Josh McCown at the bottom of the barrel at 5,000 against the Atlanta pass defense. Any interest in any of those guys?
no.
None of them.
I mean, I understand what you're saying about Sanchez. He does get a good matchup. Carolina's defense has been awful.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of those situations where the hype outplays it. I think he's going to come in and just kind of – I think he's going to be an average quarterback this week.
Okay.
Vic, not even going near that. He can possibly put up 5 interceptions. He does have the threat of running but
He didn't look bad last week against a very good defense.
no, but he's also one hit away from being knocked out of the game.
You're right about that.
And that scares me. Alex Smith against Buffalo. Buffalo's been great at home. Their defense has been pretty good. Don't really feel comfortable there. And can you name outside of Kelsey any receiver on that team?
Well, here's the thing: they don't throw to anybody except for Kelsey.
Yeah,
I mean they're a running team. They're a running team first. Their game plan, Andy Reid's game plan, is run, eat 3 bags of potato chips, run, and then throw to Kelsey.
Yeah. So Buffalo's given up 230 a game. They've only given up 12 touchdowns passing. They're at the bottom, at the top of the league in giving up touchdowns passing wise. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup for them. I think it'll be a lot of Jamal Charles.
Now the only reason I bring these guys up is because you're always looking for value, right? So I'm thinking sometimes, we call these guys bargain bin ballers, guys that are in the bargain bin for quarterback it's like under 6,000, right? Under running back, it's under like 6,000. Because there are a lot of really good studs out there this week with great matchups. So the 2 guys I would consider, and I've already expressed my love for Mark Sanchez. Okay, I'm gonna have him in lineups paired with Jeremy Maclin. Okay,
yeah.
I'm just gonna do that and just hope and pray on that one. All right, the other guy, super sneaky, super contrarian. Okay, but I'm in a tournament. Okay, I want to be way different from the rest of the crowd. So they're gonna all pick these guys. They're gonna flop. I'm going really cheap on a guy. I think he could possibly put up a ton of points in garbage time. Derek Carr. I know it's crazy to think, but a guy the other week won the Millionaire Maker with Derek Carr as his quarterback. He paired him with Andre Holmes.
Yeah.
There's your Carr-Holmes combination for less than $10,000, $9,900.
It's not bad. I like it. I understand it, but I'm probably going a different route, something more safe. I
understand you're safe. Cash game, there's no way you even touch that.
Yeah.
But if you're putting in several lineups now, if you're putting in a Millionaire Maker lineup with us, you're probably only putting in one, right? But if you're in something like you're putting in several into the first down or several into the play action, which is $1 or $2 entry fees, and you're putting in like 5 or 6 lineups, you might see me out there somewhere with that combination. When you talked about Andre Holmes, it kind of pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's 9,900.
I like it. I mean, I respect it, and I like the thought of the value that you are getting behind it.
Yeah.
You're getting a guy that averages 15 points a game.
Yeah.
Andre Holmes is sitting at Where's he? He's right here.
So they're at 11.5.
11.5. So you're getting what, 24, 25 points a game.
Yeah. It's just a thought. Listen, I'm not telling y'all, those of you that are going to be listening, that this is something you need to do.
Yeah.
It's just an idea.
But also, you got to think about, you're not always looking for those green lineups, like, where everybody is playing the worst defense or whatever. There's going to be teams that are playing really good defenses, but like something like you're talking about, like Denver's probably going to get up big, and then it's going to turn into.
Carr has the potential. I'm not even lying here. To throw the ball with their running backs being so awful too. He might throw the ball 50 times.
Yeah.
Okay. If he completes 60% of that, that's 30 passes, right? He completes 30 passes. He's probably going to throw for 300 yards, right?
Yeah.
He's probably going to get 2 touchdowns, right?
I'd hope.
Andre Holmes, probably going to be on the end of 1 or 2 of those. I mean, think about it. Last weekend, Oakland was getting absolutely shellacked by Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Seattle got up huge. Carr comes out. They have a huge second half. Those couple touchdowns. He ended up having a pretty decent fantasy week last week. Did he not?
He did.
I mean, how many he put up last week? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it ended up being a good week. I think he threw 2 or 3 touchdown passes, 300 yards, and that game ended up being closer than it was expected. So I don't know, just something very different, very contrarian. If you want to be different from the crowd, you want to take a shot. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if it wins you some money.
Yeah.
But I also would not be shocked if you finish almost towards the bottom. But it allowed at 9,900, you got 40,000 left for your next 7. You could put together something really nice.
All right, so just staying right there. All right, so quarterbacks. So we feel that Sanchez, you feel Derek Carr. Anybody else under that 6,000 that you might. The problem is, like you talk about, pairing them up with somebody.
Yeah.
Michael Vick doesn't have anybody.
Definitely
Alex
the only
Smith
guy I would consider.
doesn't have anybody. Mettenberger, I don't trust any of those receivers right now. Blake Bortles.
I only brought those guys up to talk about, and McCown I'm not touching either, even though he's 5,000 and he's up against an awful defense. Atlanta is who he was playing against the last time he played a game.
Yeah.
That tells you anything.
And he got hurt, so.
And he was sucking anyway.
Yeah. Moving into that $6,000 range, all right? We already talked about Matt Ryan. I think.
He's the only one I'm probably touching in that range.
I mean, he's just one that at 6,300 against his Tampa Bay defense.
The other one I kind of like, I don't know, he scares me because he's so up and down, is Joe Flacco at 69. But
against
Tennessee's defense is bad.
Yeah. All right, moving up to the $7,000 range, we got Palmer, Roethlisberger, Cutler, Tannehill, Romo, Kaepernick, Stafford, and Russell Wilson.
All right, give me your top 3 in order of how you would, based off of price and matchup, how you would pick, if you were setting a lineup, how you would pick.
Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, and then probably Carson Palmer.
Okay.
I know Roethlisberger's having this run, and maybe we should all jump on him and see if he goes another week, but he's not going to keep throwing 6 touchdowns.
All right, I'm going Russell Wilson, Roethlisberger, Palmer. Stafford's not my top 3 there.
No? With Calvin Johnson coming back? See, the thing is...
Yeah, even with Calvin, I mean, I don't know. I guess. I mean, I guess. Yeah, actually, yeah.
I mean, Calvin Johnson, his value this week, 7,100. I mean, I think that's a steal.
Yeah.
It is, his points is only 14, but he's played
played
3
hurt.
games where he's played hurt, and they didn't even throw him the ball. So don't look at his dollar value there. But 7,100 paired up with Matthew Stafford, I just feel some lineups I've done I felt pretty good about.
Yeah, I could feel good. Actually, I could feel really good with that combo. I didn't. A second ago when I said that, I didn't even think about. Yeah, Calvin's going to be back.
I mean, they are playing Miami, who has been the best.
I was looking kind of at the defensive matchup. Yeah.
They've been the best pass defense there. There is something there. So Stafford's always good for probably an interception or 2. But I think getting Calvin Johnson back and having that bye week and a week to practice, I think is going to help him out. So.
I think, all right, if you want to be honest, though, I'm probably basing my lineup around 5 quarterbacks this week.
Okay.
Manning. Rodgers.
Yep.
Sanchez.
Okay.
Palmer.
And Ryan.
And Matt Ryan, yeah. But I do like Russell Wilson a lot too, though.
I do too. I think the Jets' defense is. The Jets are on the verge of imploding. I feel.
No, the Roethlisberger is going up against the Jets.
Oh, I was talking about the Giants' defense.
Yeah,
I'm
Giants.
sorry.
Yeah.
But Palmer, the only thing is St. Louis's run defense is not good, and I think they're going to get a huge dose of Andre Ellington. I don't know. 7,700. I feel like there's
Better
still
value
a
there.
lot of value.
Would you? Yeah, I'd maybe go Roethlisberger at 200 cheaper.
I think if I'm going 7,700 on Palmer, I'm probably going to just go 8,200 on Breeze.
True. Yeah.
You know, like I'll spend the extra $500 to get that Breeze at home against San Francisco, who's been kind of.
See, the thing is, to me, I know it's quite a bit of difference here, though. But if I'm paying for that top tier, I'm going Manning and Rodgers, not Breeze. It's just how I'd rather pay up the extra $1,400.
Yeah, I think the real play is Aaron Rodgers against Chicago at home. You know, so all right, running backs. Just run through their values a little bit. We already talked about Matt Forte at $10,000.
DeMarco Murray's my number one play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be in most of my lineups.
I think at 8,600, his value's there. I think his upside is, I mean, look, he's getting at $3.38 a dollar on the dollar. So I feel pretty good about, you know.
I think my favorite combination this week would be, if I can fit it in the lineups, is Murray paired with Hillman, actually.
Murray and Hillman?
Yeah.
I like the Murray and McCoy.
Yeah.
I like that combination. Or, you know, if you're not going to go big on receivers, you can probably go the Murray,
Ellington,
and then
Murray Lynch. I kind of like Lynch a lot too.
Yeah, Lynch against Giants. I think he'll have another big week this week.
I think of those guys, I mean, you're paying up for Forte and Murray, okay? You got to accept that. But if you're going down and looking at value versus mashup, I think Hillman's 1, Lynch's 2, McCoy's 3.
Yeah.
This is how I see it.
And like, all right, Eddie Lacy at 6,900 and Marshawn Lynch at 6,700. Yeah. I'm probably going Lynch at 67.
Yeah.
Because the Giants' run defense aren't good. And the thing that I really like about Seattle is they are committed to the run. And when they get in the goal line, it's Lynch. Yeah. They don't have another back that kind of, takes it away. When Green Bay gets in it, you don't know if they're going to throw it or, they're going to throw that back.
Rodgers might even run it.
Yeah, there's not really that commitment. They even bring in James Starks every once in a while for the goal line stuff. So I can say he loses a lot of touchdowns. Lacy does because of how good Rodgers and like Jordy Nelson combination is in that red zone.
I can see a lot of Lynch Hillman combos for myself as well this week. Yeah.
So top 3 plays this week in running backs. How do you feel?
I think Murray is number 1.
All right, I agree with that.
You're gonna think I'm crazy. I do think Hillman's number 2.
Okay, no, that run defense at Oakland's not very good.
And then I'm torn on number 3 because their price is pretty close. Ellington and Lynch are really close to me as the number 3 play.
Ellington or Lynch?
Yeah, I don't know. They're so close in price. I could see myself doing some lineups with one and some with the other, paired up with Murray. Or paired up with Hillman or something like that.
Is there anybody under the $5,000 range? I mean, the only
bargain bin ballers.
The only guy we talked about is Charles Sims.
I like Bobby Rainey. He's still going to be the lead back. I like Joique Bell.
Yeah. But he turned out to be a dud a couple weeks ago when he was supposed to be the guy. And Miami's defense is pretty good. I just feel like
I'm kind of paying above that range this week.
Calvin Johnson, they keep saying, is 100%.
Yeah,
he's
and he
almost
said
100%.
today he feels amazing right now.
And I just feel like they're ready to just put the
Unleash
Calvin Johnson.
him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's been building up. They know how it's just been.
He might be in 100% of my lineups this week.
And it's been kind of like, like 2 weeks ago against the Falcons. They're like, oh, it's going to be Joique Bell.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Oh, we're going to do this. Nothing's worked out except one thing we know for sure. Throw the ball at Calvin Johnson when he's healthy, and it's going to be very productive. So
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think the cheapest at running back I'm considering is McCoy.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pay there this week. It's just there's not a. They've gotten. I'm gonna give credit to DraftKings. They've gotten kind of tight on their pricing this week, and there's not really any value there.
Yeah. Darren McFadden, no. Chris Ivory, maybe against that Pittsburgh.
Ivory maybe.
Maybe maybe there's a little upside there. Your boy Chris Johnson.
Don't piss me off, please.
All right, moving on to wide receivers.
See, this is God, there is a ton here.
All right.
Week.
In the $8,000 range, we got Antonio Brown, Demaryius Thomas, Jeremy Maclin, Emmanuel Sanders.
I'd pay up for all 4 of them this week.
All 4 of them?
Yep. Now, it's going to be quite difficult to get 2 of them in a lineup, but there's enough value down there where you can get 1 in.
I think I'd pay up for the top 3, Brown, Thomas, and Maclin. Sanders, I'm probably passing on because I think Jordy Nelson at 7,600 is a little
Yeah,
bit.
where I would just pay $400 extra and go with Demaryius over Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah.
Because it proved, even last week when Demaryius Thomas had Revis on him, he's still going to get his points. And we didn't air our last show, but we talked about no matter what, Demaryius is getting his points. So, yeah, I'm probably paying the few extra $100 to get Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah. Or Antonio Brown, who's just matchup proof.
Yeah, and he's going to get Ben Roethlisberger's going to throw him the ball 15 times. It seems like every game. Yeah. So, all right, in the 7,000, we got Jordy Nelson at 7,600, Randall Cobb 74, Calvin Johnson 71, and Golden Tate at 7,000.
Calvin Johnson might be at 100% of my lineups this week.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
the more I think about it and talk about it, it gets me going.
Yeah, I'm afraid not to play him in a lineup. You know what I mean?
Like, and that's one thing. That's a good point. Like, I always feel like I'm gonna miss out if I don't play this person. Like, the upside's so big for Calvin Johnson this week that I just feel like you can't.
And with that being said, I'm not touching Tate at 100 less. No. I'm just going with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. If you can only have one in your lineup. Nelson. Yeah. I feel like he's still going to get the targets because and one thing we talked about down at another guy on that team, Devontae Adams at 3,800. Yeah. I feel like he's still stealing some. He might be stealing some more touches from Cobb. So I mean, Jordy Nelson.
He's a lot more similar to Cobb than he is to Nelson.
And I think Nelson's going to get his touches no matter what. And they've
shown
Nelson's the deep ball too. He somehow has a 70-yard touch.
Every week. So, he might only catch 2 balls, but he'll get you like 18 fantasy points. So it's crazy.
Now the $6,000 range, we got Julio Jones, Des Bryant, Sammy Watkins, Alshon Jeffrey. Any of those guys that
love Julio at 6,600.
Yeah,
I look for me out there, people, with my Calvin Julio combo. Just putting up mad points on y'all this weekend.
You can go ahead and that's been my I've been Matt Ryan, Julio, Calvin Johnson combo.
Yeah,
I think that's my 3 plays. I like that in every lineup.
Building your lineups around those 3. Yeah. I think it's a great way to start. I think it's absolute because in Julius Thomas, there's your. I mean, you have found every bit of value out there, and you've maximized it. Dez, I'm kind of staying away from, even if I'm just thinking at 64, it's a great price, but I don't know. I just worry about the whole quarterback situation.
Yeah, I just feel like if Tony Romo goes out, it gets worse for Dez, and so
it's hard not to play Sammy Watkins. He's been a stud, especially coming off a bye. They're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands. He's got a tough matchup though.
Here's the stat for you: how many passing touchdowns? Or no, actually
they have 0 rushing touchdowns.
0 rushing touchdowns. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I'm not touching it. Fred Jackson's practicing today. I'm not touching any of those.
You don't want Booby?
Booby will be back on the bench this week because it'll be Bryce Brown and Jackson this week.
Jackson's not going to play this week.
You don't think so?
Nah.
I don't want Booby. I don't have anything to do with that Booby.
Alshon at 6,000.
I like it. I like Marshall 400 cheaper at 56 though.
You do?
Yeah. When it comes down on those 2 every week, I just pick the cheaper one.
Really?
Yeah. It's the same thing with Jordy and Cobb. If I have 2 guys from the same team, I just pick the cheaper one usually.
All right. And that brings us to the $5,000 range. We've got Mike Evans at the top at 5,900, Vincent Jackson at 57, Steve Smith 56, Anquan Bolden 56, Brandon Marshall 56, Martavius Bryant, Larry Fitzgerald, Percy Harvin, all at 55, 54, 53. Any of these guys excite you?
I'll save you some time here going forward. You're going to see a lot of this from me. Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, or Kelvin Benjamin. You're going to see a lot of that. Or Andre Holmes. Those guys we talked about. The only one I'm even thinking about in this range is Evans and Marshall. But I wouldn't be surprised if once I set my things up, those guys aren't in any of my lineups.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the matchups and all, but I can't get off the Julio.
There's not much value in here. The guy is Steve Smith at 5,600 has the best value.
Yeah.
He's getting $331 for every point. He's playing Tennessee at home. He has seemed to be better at home this year. Maybe, but I still think there's more upside in the Brandon Marshall 5,600 against Green Bay's defense. I think there's more there. Or pay a couple extra $100 and get Mike Evans against Atlanta's defense. All right, $4,900 to $4,500 range in receivers. Decker, Beckham, Randall, Baldwin, Wallace, Wright, Terrence Williams, Allen Hurns, Jordan Matthews, Dwayne Bowe. Any of those excite you?
No, move on.
No. I don't like the matchup for Beckham or Randall
Nope.
at Seattle. I think it might get pretty
The
ugly.
only one I kind of like is a sneaky contrarian upside play is Matthews.
Jordan Matthews. Yeah, he had a touchdown last week, so but still.
Apparently you have become important.
All right, moving down, $4,400 to $4,000 range.
We've talked about these guys already.
Yeah.
Holmes
at $4,400.
Cooks.
I think we talked about great value there. Brandon Cooks, $4,300. Seems like he's done his damage at home too. He's got a great dollar value at $316. Kelvin Benjamin at $4,200. I think he's a huge play. I think pairing him up with like kind of Kelvin Benjamin. A lot of my lineups have been Kelvin Benjamin, Julio,
Calvin
Calvin
or
Johnson.
Jordan or
you know, or I've swapped out Cooks for Benjamin. I think those two guys have great value in the 4,000 for receivers. Save you some money with huge upside this week. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, his dollar value is $288. I mean, take last week. I mean, if he catches one ball and then Cam Newton throws one a little better, he has 2 touchdowns last week. He dropped one and he got overthrown on another one. So I mean,
he's a great value at 42.
There's not much else receiving helping that team, and it's Cam's shown that he looks his way the whole time. And then finishing up the seller of the wide receivers, 4,000 and below. I'm not gonna list them off, but just a couple guys. James Jones, maybe at 3,800. Devontae Adams, we both like at 3,800. He's been getting more and more looks each week. I think he's got big upside. What about Torrey Smith at 35?
Yeah, I was about to talk about him. I like that.
Torrey
at 35.
Smith
At 35,
Yeah, he's getting more looks, and he's gotten an end zone the last few weeks, so there's been a little upside.
I also like Kenny Britt at 38.
Kenny Britt? Yeah, with the injury to Brian Quick going down, I think there's going to be more looks his way.
We kind of skipped the guy that I love this week in this range, though, or slightly above this range. Again, this is your crazy play of the week. If you got balls of steel, play him. Justin Hunter at 4,000. Tennessee has made the switch to Mettenberger. He's got a huge arm. Him and Hunter have great chemistry. Baltimore's defense is really good. Don't get me wrong there. But I could see this game getting into a blowout. They are throwing the ball a ton. And with the injuries to that secondary's beat up a little bit. Their second option at cornerback, because their top option is going to be on Kendall Wright, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be really worried about Delaney Walker too, right? So I think Justin Hunter is sneaky. 6 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. I know. I'm going out there today with the whole car and Holmes, but I'm telling you, I have this feeling about Justin Hunter. Coming off a bye.
Yeah. It's Baltimore at home. They're good at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they are beat up secondary wise. I just don't know if Mettenberger's ready for that pass rush.
Well, they threw Mettenberger in the fire the first game, and he got ate up, and then fixed it in the second half. And he actually had quite a good game. Yeah. You know, Hunter's his guy. I think. Hunter's the guy he looks for.
I mean, I think he had I think it was some crazy stat 45% of his passes in preseason were to Justin Hunter. So when he got time in there, and that's his guy for sure. I think he even looked his way a good bit the last game he played. So
Hunter had a touchdown last game.
Yeah, that's a sneaky play at 4,000. I can see that. He might get a touchdown, maybe 100 yards. He is the long ball dude on the team, so there's value there.
Any interest in Allen Robinson or Michael Floyd at 41?
Michael Floyd is dead to me.
Okay. Just because of that, I'll put him in a lineup.
He had 0 points.
Yeah, he's been killing people, man. Yeah. He was in year-long leagues, he was like a top 5th round pick or something.
Really?
Wasn't he? I mean, he's like... Yeah, he was like people's wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside.
They were talking about how Larry Fitzgerald's drowning, and he's the guy that's going to emerge and have this. And
you know me, I have these obsessions with these guys that nobody else seems to want, but Hunter's one of them. Yeah. And Allen Robinson's the other one, and Mark Sanchez. So for some reason, I gravitate toward those guys. I love them. So, you know.
All right. And then almost last. Tight ends. I think there's only
two guys, really.
Yeah, two guys. Jimmy Graham. You're either paying up for Jimmy Graham or you're going Julius Thomas at 49.
And, you know, I talked about Rivera, but with Julius Thomas only being 49, I don't think I'm paying for Rivera. The only thing that happens is if I, just load up on stud wide receivers and it comes down to where I don't have the 4,900 for Thomas, my next pick, my third pick, and my only other pick is Mikael Rivera. I'm not touching any other tight end other than the three we just talked about.
I mean, Greg Olsen.
I'm not paying 100 more for him.
Yeah, if you're paying $5,000, you might as well go Julius Thomas. The upside's just so much more for Julius Thomas. Even though, Greg Olsen's getting a bunch of targets, I still just, Kelsey at Buffalo, that matchup's just not very good. Martellus Bennett.
It's a great matchup. I'll take Graham for 700 more.
I feel like
Thomas for 700 less.
He's
in that range where he's right in between two guys that are.
I feel like they're going to try to take him away this week. Green Bay coming off the bye, they know that's been their bread and butter so far this season for Cutler.
Plus, he's actually hasn't done much the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, all right. Any defenses you want to talk about, or?
Well, you've talked about your play of the week, the Lions. How can you not like the Seahawks at 3,000?
Yeah, I mean, 3,000, 2,900.
I mean, it's probably.
I think they'll get 2 picks off of.
The other two defenses I kind of really like. They're a little bit. They're 300 more. Is the Cowboys against Jacksonville and the Broncos against Oakland. I love the Broncos against Oakland this week. They're going to give up points late because it's going to be garbage time. But the first half, they like to sack. They like to rush guys, and they might have 6-7 sacks and 2 or 3 picks, a couple fumbles. I think it's hard to predict defenses, and when you're picking lineups, you're just hoping for like a touchdown. I think they're almost a lock for a touchdown this week.
I think Eagles at 3,200 is not bad. They are getting some special team stuff, but they showed last week their pass defense just got lit up, and that was a bench Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I don't know. I feel. I'm probably going to go cheap this week on defense, stick around that Lions, maybe Seahawks.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't see much on the defense. I don't really care, to tell you the truth. Like
I said, defense is the hardest to predict, and really you're just looking for a defense that's going to get you a floor. You're looking for floor really more than anything. A floor of 6 to 8 points, okay, and they're not going to get you negative points,
Yeah, and the one thing, Lions have been around the ball. Interceptions, fumbles. They've had a couple of defensive touchdowns, and you're just hoping you get lucky and they score a defensive touchdown. So,
you want to talk about some tournaments this weekend that people might be interested in playing?
Sure.
All right, you got the here's the first one I got to talk about. The Millionaire Maker has dropped its entries down to 71,500, and it's upped its price to $40. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's kind of scared me away from it.
Why would they do that? I don't.
That's stupid. Whoever's decision, like DraftKings, if you get a hold of this tape, you're dumb. Like that was stupid. I have no idea. The play action, as always, $2, 57,500 entries. You got the gridiron at 4,200 entries at $27. The Hail Mary is 12.
If I'm doing the gridiron for 27, I'm probably just paying the 40 for the million.
And then you got the first down for $1. Now you also got several qualifiers this week and stuff like that. You got the King of the Beach qualifier, $5 entry fee on that. I might take a shot at one of those. I think that's about it for the.
What is the King of the Beach? Is 2.5? Is that just the name of them?
Yeah. So the King of the Beach qualifier. The way that works is if you finish first, you get a trip to Atlantis for the I guess tournament they do that week, and then they pay out from second down to 775th. So it's not a bad idea but I think it's good sometimes to just throw in a lineup in these qualifiers, and you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? but I might throw in one there. They also usually have some other cheaper qualifiers in the $2 range. Let me see what we got here in the $2 range. They got the NFL $12 ticket satellite quarter entry there. Let's see. Like I said, the first down, 23,000 entries at $1 for that one. I like this one. If you like to play cash games, world's biggest $1 50-50 multiple entries. You can enter up to 100 teams at $1, 50-50 there. So if you got some money, throw in about 10 lineups. If you win all of them, you win $16.
Yeah.
So, no, 160 times 10, yeah, $16. Let's see if there's anything else out there that might interest y'all. They got a Millionaire Maker satellite for $2, and that's about it. So, do you want to throw out there your Millionaire Maker lineup, or the one you thought you were going to put into the Millionaire Maker until you found out it was $40?
Let's see. My lineup. Let's see. Not that one. All right. Matt Ryan.
Okay.
LaShawn McCoy.
All right.
Charles Sims.
Okay.
Kelvin Benjamin.
All right.
Calvin Johnson.
Okay.
Julio Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
DeMarco Murray.
Okay.
And the Lions defense.
Solid. Solid. It's a really good lineup. Let me see. I haven't really sat down and had the time to really make many lineups right now, but I can kind of make one now and just kind of tell you where I'm going.
All right. Here's one other one. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
LaShawn McCoy. Charles Sims. Kelvin Benjamin. Calvin Johnson. Jordy Nelson. Julius Thomas. Brandon Cooks. And then the Lions defense.
I mean, talk about it. Talk about it right now. Let's see. All right. I'm going to start out my first lineup with a Lynch-Hillman combo because I told you I kind of high on that one this week. I'm going to go with my boys, Calvin Johnson and Julio at wide receiver. So Julio, I'm probably going to pair up with Ryan. I'm going to go Julius at tight end. Defense, I'm going to go with the Seahawks D this week. I like their match against the Giants. The Giants are imploding. Let's see. My flex. I got 46.59. Kelvin Benjamin in my flex. You know a guy I just saw here that we didn't even talk about?
Who's that?
Roddy White at 51.
Yeah?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Probably going. He's not even on. Did I delete him off or something? He's not even on mine. I'm probably spending a little bit more.
Okay.
And going like Brandon Marshall. Or saving my money and going down to like Kelvin Benjamin. And putting in one of those big number one receivers.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. This is what I'm going to do. All right. So I think Devontae Adams makes you put together a pretty good lineup. I just threw him in there. Let's see. All right. How about this one? All right, this is one similar to what you have, and we'll probably end on this one and let people kind of go from there. I'm kind of on your lines now just because you've talked about them, but similar to you. We got Ryan, Lynch and Hillman, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, Julius Thomas, McCoy, Lions D.
I like it. Yeah. Let's go one. We got to go one. Let's see.
One of my boy Sanchez.
All right.
Okay.
We got Sanchez.
So you need to pair him up with Macklin. You need to get Macklin in there.
Okay. Can I get him? He's right out of my range. All right. So Macklin. All right. Running back. We'll go Marshawn Lynch. and Ronnie Hillman.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I left in there Calvin Johnson, Jeremy Maclin.
Okay.
All right. Tight end, Julius Thomas.
All right.
And my defense are the Lions.
Okay.
I got 8,600 left to spend.
Got 40.
So I'm going to go Kelvin Benjamin.
All right.
Leaves me at 4,400
So Cooks,
in the
I guess.
flex. Cooks?
Or Bobby Rainey.
I'm probably going Cooks.
Okay.
It just worries me that Bobby Rainey's going to split. Let's see. Andre Holmes.
Yeah,
Bobby
good.
Rainey?
Yeah, Andre Holmes.
All right. So we put Andre Holmes. All right. So Mark Sanchez, Marshawn Lynch, Ronnie Hillman, Calvin Johnson, Jeremy Maclin, Kelvin Benjamin, Julius Thomas, Lions D, and Andre Holmes.
I like it.
Hopefully this has been somewhat informative. I've enjoyed it. We put a little thought into this, and we look at some stats, and we try to come up with something that seems meaningful. But I hope you enjoy, and best of luck on you making money this week. Next week we'll start recapping kind of what we did, games we played,
how we did,
yeah,
kind of money we won,
and see if anything. Our matchups that showed up and ones that didn't.
Yeah.
So our plays are bad plays. So have a good one, and we'll catch you guys later.
the Dirty Sanchez.
If you are what you say you are.